chose not to have the surgery. He chose to rest and relax and hope it goes away. And then he ended.
We took a look at Gilmore, and if we got Gilmore, we win in the division. I feel like, you know what I mean? I feel like Stephon Gilmore.
Richard Rodgers. He's with our team over the last couple of years. But this is about our fourth time picking him up. What does that mean for
Welcome to another episode of Birdgang Nation Sports Talk. I'm your host, Birdgang 31. Today, Nation, we got a very special guest with us today, Mr. Zach Berman from the Athletics, right?
Yes, from the Athletic, correct.
Yeah, mate. Thanks again for coming on the show. Give everybody a rundown where they can find you at and what you're doing right now.
Sure, you can find all my work on the Athletic. You can subscribe for 50% off this week. And you can listen to our podcast, Birds with Friends. I do that with Bo Wolf and Sheil Kapadia. That's wherever you find your podcasts. Also, we have a YouTube channel. And then I wrote a book after the Super Bowl season, Underdogs, the Philadelphia Eagles' emotional road to Super Bowl victory. And you can find that wherever books are sold.
Nice. So how'd you like game one? Was it everything you expected? Was it a little bit more than what you were expecting going into game one? Or was it just about where you thought it would be?
No, frankly, it was a lot more than what I expected, right? I did not expect them to be that efficient on offense. I thought the defense was going to be better, but to hold Atlanta out of the end zone, did not expect that. So was really impressed with the way they came out. All the credit they're getting during these past, 24, 48 hours, they deserve it, right? Because they were the better team on the field. They outplayed Atlanta. They outcoached Atlanta. I understand it's a long season, but if in the weeks they lose, they hear about it, right? So when they win about it, so when they win, they deserve to hear about it because they played a really good game.
Yeah, we got to start out with our captain Jalen Hurts, man. Tell me, how would you grade his performance in Sunday's game against Atlanta? Because everybody coming into it, he's not accurate. He can't do this, he can't do that. 55% or 52% completion and all that kind of stuff. I predicted the score was going to be 31-10, so I was pretty close. You know what I'm saying? Because I think this guy is ready to lead our team, and we're going to really be, sleep. I mean, a lot of teams are going to be sleeping on us this year. So how do you think Jalen did if you had to give him a grade?
Yeah, I mean, I was one of those people who said he needed to be more efficient this season, right? I was one of those people who said he threw 52% last year. The ball can't be on the ground that much. You're not going to be able to convert third downs. Well, he was 77% in this game. He was dynamic with his feet. He extended drives. He played within himself. There's that expression, he took what the defense gave him, but he took what the defense gave him, right? He wasn't afraid to check down. He wasn't afraid to go underneath. I thought he had a good game. And as far as a grade, I suppose it depends what your curve was, right? I mean, if you're looking at last year's numbers, or at least last year's completion percentage, right? And the fact that they didn't win many games last year, this would be an A minus, right? Now there are things he could do better. There were passes that could be a little more on target, but it's not worth necessarily nitpicking after you win 32-6 and he plays the way he did. And if he plays like that on a consistent basis, the Eagles are going to be a factor this season in the NFC East. Because it starts with the quarterback, right? I know it starts at the offensive line and defensive line, but the quarterback's touching the ball in every play. And when Jalen Hurts plays that way, it changes the outlook of the team.
Oh yeah, and then another new leader for our team, Nick Sirianni. No one knew what Nick was going to do his first game. Coming out, no one knew what kind of offense he was going to run. He didn't really start the starters in the preseason. So everybody was questioning that. Do you think so far Nick Sirianni's did a good job coming into that first game one? And how do you think he coached in his first NFL game?
Well, to win 32-6, right, and for the offense to look as prepared as it did, for the team to look as ready as they did, that's a credit to the head coach. So, yeah, Nick Sirianni deserves high grades too, and he was, he was methodical in terms of the way he went about training camp, and weren't the longest practices. You mentioned he didn't play all his guys in the preseason, and look, he wanted to have them fresh week one, and they were ready to go. The proof is out there. If they came out unprepared, if they were on the other side of the 32-6 game, he'd be hearing about it. So when they win 32-6, he deserves credit because that team was ready to go. And I thought, as a play caller, he did well too. Right? He had answers. He was varied in the offense. Same thing with Jonathan Gannon on defense. I thought overall this was a staff that looked prepared, and that's a big part of it.
Nice. And then, so how was your feeling on Zach Ertz staying with the team this year? And, how do you think this is going to work out? They look pretty good. Both of them got involved in the game on Sunday. Goddard had a touchdown. Zach had a couple of nice catches. Do you think that the Eagles should just go ahead and put everything to the past, like they've been doing, and keep Zach Ertz because that's a dynamic duo? We can kind of have our own Gronk and Aaron type thing back there, or do you think Zach Ertz might be moving on either by trade deadline or next year?
Well, I was surprised that he's back this year, right? I mean, I frankly think he was probably surprised as well. But if you can make it work this year, then make it work, right? Now they played a lot of 11 personnel, which means one of those tight ends is on the sideline. And when you win, they're going to be happy about it. But they're not going to win every game, right? I'd be surprised by that. So I'm curious to see how this playing time is distributed. But you're right; they were both on the field. They both made an impact. I would be shocked if they're both here next year because both their contracts are expiring. So we can't even think about what 2022 is going to look like this year. It's 1 week into 2021. Let's think about this season. And look, if they are contending, right, or if they're not at the bottom of the standings, it would behoove them to keep both of them because it means it's working. So my guess at this point is that both finish the season with the Eagles, unless things go downhill, and I don't anticipate things like going significantly downhill.
Nice. Yeah. Do you have a record prediction that you have for the Birds this year?
Well, going into the season, I said 7-10, right? But we'll see. So again, I'm much better at telling you what happened after the fact than telling you what's going to happen before.
Nice. Let's jump over to that defensive side. Early in the game, we had some penalties on the defensive side of the ball, but we bend but don't break defense was there. They didn't get in the end zone. We held Atlanta to 0 touchdowns all game long. Like you said, Coach G coached a really nice game out there. How do you feel? Who's your star players? Your favorite players to watch on Sunday?
Well, I thought Javon Hargrave on the defensive line really showed up, right? And he looked like the player they gave 3 years, $39 million to, and it wasn't just the production; it was just the play to play consistency and being able to be disruptive, get to the quarterback. That jumped out. I would need to start there. I thought the defensive line played well. I thought overall their third down defense that was the key. Atlanta converted their first 2 third downs, and I think they converted 1 third down for the rest of the game. I'd have to look that back up, but I think just good, strong team defense, and when you can play like that, when I would put it this way: when you get off the field on third downs, especially in the red zone, those are
Mhm.
game-changing plays. And that game's a different game if those two field goals in the first half were touchdowns. So
Mhm.
credit to the defense for overall for the way they played on third down.
Nice, nice. And before we move on to the next game, give me your last outtakes of this game. What are the things that you're most happy about, and what do you think the Eagles really need to improve on the most going into the next
Well,
week?
yeah. I mean, like we said, I think the offensive efficiency and the third down defense are the things that jump out in terms of what I'm most impressed with, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it starts with when you're completing passes, you're getting positive yards on offense. Third, I can't emphasize that enough. Is that if you're a 52% passer, you're probably punting the ball too often, right? Because
Yeah.
it means you're most likely having incompletions on third downs. And so when they're able to complete as many passes as they are, extend drives, that's huge. Then the other side of it on defense, I'm a big third down guy. When you get off the field on third down, when you hold them to 3 instead of 7, Nick Sirianni said it yesterday. That's a 4-point play. When you get those
Mm-hmm.
4-point plays, you can go in the halftime 15-6 instead of 15-14. Changes the
Mm-hmm.
game. So the two things that jumped out to me were the offensive efficiency and the third down defense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. That was a great game. Let's move forward to the Niners. Um, what do you think our chances are against the Niners for one? And then, what do you think we're gonna see with our team this week against the Niners? You think we're gonna see a little bit of the same thing, or you think he's gonna switch it up on both sides of the ball um, against that opponent?
Yeah, so just to be completely honest with you, right? So we're talking on Tuesday here. This is usually the day when I go deep into the opponent, right?
Mm,
So I mean, I know the Niners based on their roster and the highlights that I saw, but honestly, I mean, I can't tell you much about how this matchup's going to be other than kind of surface level. You have two quarterbacks that they use. I saw Trey Lance had the
mm,
touchdown. They have they're a physical team, obviously, offensive line, defensive line. They have a veteran offensive line. They can get after you on the defensive line with Bosa. They lost their starting cornerback, Jason Barrett. So we'll see how they look depth wise. But again, today's the day when I really get into the opponent. So if we
mm,
spoke Thursday or Friday, I would have a much better idea of of I guess what I think the Eagles are going to do, but I would imagine they mix it up. You lose some of that element of surprise, obviously. Then again, I don't think they showed everything week one. So
mm.
I'm curious to see how they look. Every week's a season. I often say because things change week to week, but they're coming home. I imagine it's gonna be an energized home crowd. I for one am
Mm.
looking forward to seeing it.
Are you gonna be there? The
Oh,
opener?
absolutely. I'm at every game, home and away. So.
Nice, nice. That's awesome. Hey, we don't give love to special team guys. How'd you like our punter in that first week? That's what I forgot to ask you.
Yeah,
Sippos?
Sipas. Yeah, he did exactly what they needed him to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And put the ball in some good spots, pinned them back. Credit to him because first time punter, first NFL game came through.
Nice. Yeah, man. I was like, you know what? No one gives enough credit to the kickers. And I think he did a great job, pinning them back and making it hard for Atlanta. Everybody was expecting Cal Pitts to come out, and have this huge game against us, really come out and have this huge game against us. And, it just didn't happen. Cal Pitts had 29 yards, and I think really started out hot, but then he cooled down real fast. So our defense really contained both of those guys, that was really exciting for me because I think, everybody wondered, are we going to be like Jim Schwartz on defense? Are we going to just, keep giving up the 5 yard slants, not bringing that pressure on Ryan. But like in the second half of that game, you totally seen, you know, pressure, Hargraves, Ridgeway, all them boys kept coming out and they were consistently after Matt Ryan in that game. So that's really exciting to see.
Yeah, no, you are right about that, and I didn't expect it to be like Jim Schwartz's defense. I thought Jonathan Gannon was going to put his own stamp on it, and you'll continue to see it. I think I keep coming back to the third downs because if you can get them off the field, um, that's huge for defense. That's huge for the defense. If you want to know the best defenses, often look at the third down defense, and so if they can keep that up going forward, they're going to have a lot of success.
Okay, okay. Give me a way too early. I know you haven't broke it down, but do you think we're going to win this game against San Francisco? Without giving any details about it, because I know you got to look deep into it. But this is a way too early prediction about
Sure.
week 2.
So actually, going into these first 2 weeks, I thought they were going to split them. I thought they were going to lose the first one and then win the second one, right? So
Had
they,
lose
so the
the Falcons?
yeah. So I thought they were going to lose to Atlanta, and then I thought they were going to beat San Francisco at home. Now perhaps we can flip those around, or perhaps they win both of them. We'll see. But this is a real tough matchup. This is a really tough matchup, and San Francisco is a much different team on both lines than Atlanta was. So picking now, I'd probably pick San Francisco. But again, going into the season, I pick the Eagles. So we'll see. It's not an easy one to predict.
Do you think we have a top 5 offense and defensive line if they all stay healthy this year?
Offensive and defensive line, yes. Yeah, I do. Certainly, I mean, certainly defensive line and then offensive line. Look, if Jordan Mailata plays like that at left tackle, then yeah, I think they have a top 5 offensive line.
Nice, nice. Do you think Jalen Hurts, if he continues on this streak, of improving every game, it can only get so high, no, but do you think he has a chance of being in the MVP race at the end of the season?
Well, I think that's a bit ambitious at this point, honestly, because I mean, there's some outstanding players in this league, first year as a full-time starter, MVP, that's really ambitious. But look, I suppose never say never. And if they keep winning games 32-6, then there's going to be a lot of things that I might have thought going into the year that are wrong.
Yeah, because I think it's going to be hard to stop the Eagles, because we finally have real athleticism on that offensive side of the ball, where I think it's going to be hard to stop our offense. You got the deep threats, you got the middle of the field kind of workers, and Zach Ertz and, Dallas Goedert and Rager having his little way in the middle of the field. But then you got the guys stretching out the field on the outsides with Devontae Smith and Quez Watkins. And then if you decide to, prevent defense, we got 2 dynamic running backs right now. We're really 3, but 2 that showed up on Sunday, and Miles Sanders and Kenny Gainwell. And I imagine Kenny Gainwell's only going to get better as the season goes along. So I'm like, how are teams going to really stop the Eagles on offense this year? I feel like the only way we're going to really be able to be stopped is if we're self-imposed rooms.
Yeah, I mean, look, every week's a season, and in that San Francisco is going to have something planned, and Dallas, Kansas City, you go on down the list, and teams have a better idea of how you use your personnel as the weeks go on. The flip side, for instance, we could have spoken last week and said, well, how are the Eagles going to cover Kyle Pitts, and can they stay with Darius Slay, and they're going to run that quick play action game and try to neutralize the defensive line. We can say all this, but it comes down to how they play on the field. So I certainly don't think this Eagles offense is unstoppable per se, but I do think that they have that they have more weapons than they've had in the past, especially when Devontae Smith plays at the level that I believe he can play at. And they're going to be a good team. They're going to be a good team if they look the way they did on Sunday throughout the season.
Mm-hmm. And we are on the top of the NFC East now. How would you grade the rest of the NFC East and how they play? The Dallases, the Washingtons, and the New York Giants.
Well, the only game I watched was the Dallas game because that was Thursday night. I mean, when I was in Atlanta, I didn't get to watch Washington. I didn't get to watch the Giants. So I can't tell you how those teams look right now. But Dallas,
game you watched the Dallas one.
Yeah, I watched that Dallas game, and I mean, I was impressed with Dak. I was impressed with that offense, right? And that defense gave up some yards and some points, but they were playing against Tom Brady and Tampa Bay. So I thought going into the year Dallas was the favorite in the NFC East. I would stick to that. But I keep saying this: when the Eagles play the way they played, they're going to be in the mix.
Yeah, and that game, I feel like that game shouldn't even have been so close, considering all the turnovers that Tampa Bay did early. You know what I'm saying? It seemed like Tampa Bay kept letting them back in the game. You know what I'm saying? They could have blew them out, I feel like. But, they kept fumbling, turnover here. I think Dallas really only committed one of those turnovers, and that was the one where Lawrence knocked the ball out, punched the ball out. Other than that, the Hail Mary at the end of the half, whatever, that's a whatever turnover. And the rest of those were like tipped off of players or, Galloway fumbling in the way. So I don't know. I think the Dallas Cowboys, like you said, can Dak stay healthy all year is a big question, and then where's Zeke at? Zeke has not been around for the last couple of years. So with those two elements, their defense has been playing suspect for a while. I don't really think they have that strong of a defense. And, I think Dallas this year, we should be splitting with them, but I do have us taking the first game. And then the second game, hopefully we won't even have to worry about it because it's the last game of the season.
Well, that's confidence there. I respect the confidence.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I know, there's something I like to do at the end of my shows. I like to run over your all-time Eagles team. I give you a position, how many players, and you kind of fill in the blank. It's whatever team you want. You know what I'm saying? No wrong answer. They're all Eagles, so they're all right answers. So, we'll start out with the quarterbacks. If you can start your own dream team, who would be your quarterback and who will be backing them up?
Well, I think Donovan McNabb is the best quarterback in franchise history. So I would say Donovan McNabb as the starter, and then the backup. I suppose I would go Randall Cunningham as the second quarterback there.
Nice. Give me 3 running backs.
Well, because you said I can have 3, that expands the list a bit. So obviously, I would go with Van Buren. I would go with LaShawn McCoy, who's the all-time leading rusher, and I go with Wilbur Montgomery, who's number 2. So I guess I'm going chalk there because those are probably the 3 best running backs in franchise history.
Nice. Give me 2 tight ends.
2 tight ends. So they have some like old time tight ends who were really good, like Pete Pethos, I believe. But Zach Ertz recently. You could say Keith Jackson. It's hard for me with some of the older tight ends, right? Because like I never. I'm sorry, I said Pete Pethos. Pete Retzlaff rather. So let's go Retzlaff and let's go Ertz. Just because if you're doing all-time Eagles, you need to recognize the history of the franchise.
Nice. Yeah, that was a new one on the list. I don't think anybody said that tight end right there. What'd you say his name was? Fleshworth?
Pete Retzlaff.
Retzlaff. Yes, no one. Actually, that is the first time on the list.
Okay.
And that's why I like doing this because it brings out new players for fans to understand and find out about. So let's go 4 receivers, my guy.
4 receivers. Harold Carmichael is in the Hall of Fame. Tommy McDonald's in the Hall of Fame. Mike Quick is one of the best receivers in Eagles history. And then even though it's short-lived, I'd probably go T.O., right? Because, T.O.'s 2004 year was pretty special.
And who's starting on your offensive line?
I'd go, Jason Peters at left tackle, Jason Kelsey at center. Probably, again, there's some of these old time guys which are hard for me to really, they had Bucko Kilroy and they had Al Wister, but again, like I never saw them play. I've only read about them. So Brandon Brooks. What's that? I would go. I would go Brandon Brooks at right guard. Let's go Al Wister at the other tackle. Let's go Bucko Kilroy at left guard.
Nice. And those are 2 new players to the line, too. So that's awesome. Let's flip it over to the defensive line. Who's going to be in your front 4?
Well, obviously Reggie White, right? Fletcher Cox, that defensive tackle. Put Jerome Brown, defensive tackle. Then there's a handful of, you go with Trent Cole. You go with Brandon Graham. You go with Clyde Simmons. I guess I would go with Clyde Simmons, but Trent Cole was really productive during his time here.
Yes. Nice, man. That's nice. 3 linebackers.
Chuck Bednarik, I would go with I mean, again, like some of these old time guys I haven't seen, so I'll go with some recent guys. I'll go William Thomas,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll go Seth Joyner.
Seth Joyner. No Axeman on there, huh?
I guess we'll put Jeremiah Trotter on
It's
it,
your
but
list. It's your list. I'm just saying, like,
no,
that's what.
I didn't prepare for this, right? So I'm kind of going off of I'm going off the top of my head, but yeah, I
That's
mean,
okay.
if you're going Chuck Bederick, who was a middle linebacker, I believe, right? Does that affect where you put Jeremiah Trotter? I don't know, but Jeremiah Trotter was a great player, obviously.
Okay. Well, give me 3 cornerbacks.
Eric Allen, certainly. Like this again, thinking about it, Troy Vincent certainly
Yes.
belongs there. And I guess I'll go with recency bias again. I'll go with Asante Samuel. But they had some corners. I mean, like they had Tom Brookshire back in the day, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Hey,
I'll
those
go
3 work. That's a shutdown cornerback group
okay,
right there. Give me 3 safeties, my guy.
3 safeties. Okay, well I gotta go Brian Dawkins,
Yes.
and I need to go Malcolm Jenkins too,
Yes.
because Malcolm Jenkins was really productive here. And then I don't know who's the third safety people are going with when you ask them this.
It varies, like I said, Bobby Taylor, when I have Bobby Taylor and Troy Vincent on, I mean, Corey Simon, they use players off the teams that they were on, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So, but a lot of people, those are the 2. That's why I jumped it up. I used to only start out with just 2 safeties, but everybody kept saying Malcolm and Dawkins. So then like there's guys like Waters, you have Michael Lewis, Quentin McHale, um, some more safety that they had out there, that they've used. I forgot there's another McLeod. There's another one
Yeah,
that
I'll go with Bill Bradley. He
Bill
played
Bradley.
he played a long time ago, but he was a productive player for them. So Bill Bradley.
Nice. And everybody usually go Akers as the kicker. Would you have to agree with that one?
Yeah, I'm not going to quibble with that. So yeah, I'll go with David Akers as the kicker, I suppose. And then who do people go with as the punter?
Uh, it's always toss up between Donnie Jones and Cam Johnston.
Really? So they go with recent guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Do you have an old guy for us?
I mean, you can go back, but yeah, let's just go Donnie Jones because they won the Super Bowl with him, right? But you're
Right.
hoping if you put an all-time team together, you don't have to use your punter. So
Yes, yes. Who would be the defensive coordinator for this team?
Jim Johnson.
Jim Johnson, yes. And the head coach?
Andy Reid.
Yeah, those are 2 constant guys that get named, man. Hey, man, thank you again for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. I'll be making sure everybody, please go subscribe to this guy's channel. Go ahead and break them down. Tell them one more time where they can find you at, my guy.
Yeah, make sure you go to The Athletic. You can subscribe for 50% off, and you can find all our podcasts and Birds with Friends content on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast, and also our YouTube channel.
Nice, nice, man. Well, hey, like I always say, fly, Eagles, fly. Until next time, this was Birdgang Nation Sports Talk. I'm your host, Birdgang31, and we are out. Peace.